ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकम्।
Hello friends, today we are back with Mrityunjaya, a series on death and dying, a subject that is very close to my heart because in death everybody becomes one. Grief ties all of us together. And today we have Sheetal with us. Sheetal, welcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me here.
Thank you for coming and thank you for whatever you're going to share with all of us today. So, Sheetal, can you tell our viewers something about yourself?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, right now you can say I'm kind of a healer. I do practice the modality. But before getting into all this, I was a civil engineer. I was into a full-time job. I was a working professional. But things changed once, I encountered the passing away of my mother-in-law. And then that is how I shifted into all these modalities right now, whatever I'm practicing. I am like I'm married. I have a 12-year-old daughter. My husband is into IT. He's an IT professional. So there's the three of us right now in the family. So it was a joint family, but in 2014, my father-in-law passed away, and after that, after 2 years, my mother-in-law passed away. So the death of my mother-in-law was a very sudden thing that happened in her life.
Yeah, so Sheetal, it's beautiful
So
that you're talking about her because most people don't want to
yeah.
talk about the relationship with their in laws. But here you are today talking about a close and intimate relationship with her. I always tell people that people who get married are lucky only because they have two sets of parents to love and for them to love you. So, Sheetal, I'd
Yeah.
like you to first share something about the kind of relationship that you had with her.
Yeah, sure. Basically, mine is an arranged marriage. So at the time, like my husband and father-in-law had come to see me as it is during for a arranged marriage to happen, like so that formally come to visit us. But my mother-in-law couldn't make it. She was not feeling well or something. But somewhere I couldn't decide on a decision. Like I couldn't decide on what to decide, like whether to go ahead with the marriage or no. Of course, my husband is a very good person, but then I told him like I'd really like to meet mommy. So then she came to my house the next day to just to meet me. And what happened at that time was the moment I saw her, when she entered into my house, there was this nice, beautiful connection that it was kind of a click that happens sometimes when you meet certain people. So that was so beautiful, and the way she smiled, it was an instant connection, and it didn't take me a long time to say yes for that marriage. So
Oh,
that is actually
so it's
happened.
all because of her
Yeah.
that you and your husband have a wonderful relationship. Wow, that's rare
Mhm.
that somebody looks at the mother-in-law to be and decides on
Yeah.
marrying the son. So that's really sweet, Sheetal. Lovely. And then after marriage, how did that bond develop further?
Yeah, it was very nice. She was a very loving person, very loving, very sensitive, very spiritual, highly spiritual person, and somebody who loved to talk a lot, always loved to talk. So the thing was, basically, I felt that there was nobody at home to actually hear her out. She used to love talking about her past experiences, the stories she had, her childhood memories. So basically, I'm a good listener. So
Mhm.
most of the time, whenever we were in the kitchen, she used to always tell me about her childhood, her favorite people, her friends, and so she loved talking. So that was where we bonded. Like we made a good team. So it was fun working in the kitchen and all. So I think it just gelled. We went along very well. I didn't have to at certain point, like if I had certain problems with it was very easy for me to convey to her. More than that, she would already understand, like, okay, Sheetal, don't worry, things will get resolved. I understand what you're going through. All these things were already there. So it was a very natural and it was a very easygoing relationship.
Like a kind of an organic relationship. it
Organic.
just it just developed.
Yeah, it just
So when you talk to your mom
did.
about the kind of relationship that you have with your mother-in-law, how would she respond?
Well, it was actually seen, I never really had to tell her anything, like, she knew like I was pretty comfortable with my mother-in-law. So there was never a conversation. Like my mother is always like, no, she gels well with her mother-in-law, she's very loving and all. So I'm not worried about her in that way. So I
Right.
think my mother was okay.
So did your husband have a sister or anything, or
He's a single child man.
he's a single child? So did she ever tell you that I always wanted a daughter and now you are my daughter and stuff like that?
Yes.
So that's, yeah, so that's so sweet of her. So what are the
So
things that you learned from her?
one more thing, like I have to add is like
Yeah.
whenever people used to come out, she used to always introduce, like she is my daughter. She used to
Oh,
never like the tag of a daughter-in-law. Like she's my daughter. This is
so
how she used to
sweet.
introduce me. Yeah,
Lovely. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
what are the things
basically,
she taught you, and what is it that you still remember and say, okay, this is what I learned from mommy, kind of stuff?
yeah, she had this very loving way of accepting people. Like serving, like koi aata hai ghar pe, like she used to cook food and all that. It was in a very loving way. I think I still carry that. I do feel that I still carry that part of her. And also I feel because earlier I'm basically an introvert person. I used to never
Mm,
talk much.
mm,
So she was the one who used to always talk. And now that I'm into whatever I'm doing, talking to people, I see now that I somewhat carry some part of her about talking, listening to people, helping them.
mm,
That
mm.
is that essence is there in me somewhere. I feel. I look
Right.
back and I used to never talk. Now I talk so much.
And the fact
So
that you come
I
on the show and wanting to talk is actually proof that maybe she's just pushed you
mm,
forward to
she's
speak. I think that's really what's happened here. So,
yeah.
Sheetal, I mean, I know losing a loved one is really difficult.
Mm.
So, what is the reason that you decided to come and speak on this particular show?
Yeah, when I saw your video on that introduction regarding Mrityunjay series, so I could read, and then I saw your video also, the Shraddhanjali that you gave to your father also, and I could just connect so much. So I thought, even, and you had mentioned like if you would like to share, so that just came immediately. It was just an instant response that of course, even I would like to share. Because like you mentioned, it's very difficult for people to grieve after they lose their loved one. So I thought maybe maybe किसी को help हो जाएगा that kind. So I
Yeah.
might as well share. And like you said, it was a nudge also because it was just instant. I didn't have to logically think like, soch ke batana hai. It just came immediately.
Yes, I
Like,
know. And I saw your comment on the Rityunjay episode, and I said, wow, she is actually commenting. And then you sent me an email also. So that was really sweet of you. So, Sheetal, tell us what exactly happened, with her
yeah,
mother in law.
I'd just like to give a background about her
Sure.
health and all,
Yes.
because she had a lot of health issues. So once I came in after the marriage, I came into this house, I realized that she had a lot of health issues. So, and she was coping up with all that. She had high BP, she had asthma, she had stomach problems, she had a minor heart problem. So all these things, and she used to have a lot of medicines and all. So these things also had a side effect on her and all. And what I noticed was like every year, practically every year, she used to get admitted due to some or the other thing.
Mm.
And she used to be in the ICU for almost a week. So the 10 years that I spent with her, this was kind of a thing that I got used to because I knew eventually she's going to come back. She's a fighter and she has a lot of willpower. She had a
Mm.
tremendous willpower. I still admire. I don't have that much of a willpower that she had.
Mm.
So she used to fight and she used to come back. But I guess after my father-in-law passed away, she did have a little bit of losing that partner is not there. Maybe
Yeah.
she had that thing in her. And so 2016, what happened was it was a minor problem that we admitted her for. She had the sodium levels were low,
Mm.
so we admitted her in the hospital. So doctors said within a week she'll be fine. So then we also thought ki every time, like, she's into some major issue and she comes back home. So we were like,
Mm.
okay, fine, this is just a week's time. She'll recover and she'll come back home.
Mm.
But all the while she was in the hospital, she was just not ready to be in the hospital. She was like, just take me home. I don't want to be in the hospital. Why did you get me to the hospital? So she even, and then she had some tests to be done for the brain or something. And there she mentioned to my husband, like, I'm going to your father now. I don't want to stay back.
Mm.
That is what she mentioned. But somehow we kind of, like spoke to her, like, don't talk, ऐसे सब मत बात करो. And when she was not in a mood to like stay back in the hospital. She just didn't want to stay in the hospital.
So, had she ever mentioned this prior to that day? That like
She
I'm.
used to mention indirectly,
Hmm.
like now my time is up. Now I've enjoyed everything. I've seen my grandchild. I'm happy that family is nice. So I'm, like my child is settled and all that. And she used to sometimes speak to my mother also, like like okay, I think it's okay for me to leave now. She used to tell this so many times, and we used to be like, don't say such things, like why do you keep saying such things? But
Hmm.
I think she knew that she was going to go.
Right.
And one major thing was like, she was a big Krishna Bhakt. And I've
Hmm.
seen the miracles that has happened in her life, with the
Hmm.
connection that she had with Krishna. So she used to say, ki, like, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to be bedridden. I don't want to trouble anybody around me. I just want to reach Krishna. And this whole episode of the last days in the hospital, the last day was Janmashtami.
Oh gosh,
That was
the
Janmashtami.
the Lord has His own ways, really, of getting His loved ones to Him.
Yeah.
Truly, yeah. So,
Mm.
what happened that day?
So, uh, she was fine one day. The next, that day evening, I had gone and met her. I gave her food and all because she's ready to not. She was not ready to have it or not. I changed her clothes. I gave her some food. She had it. And one prominent thing was, ma'am, like she was a numerologist. Now
Okay.
she was so fond of her numbers and all that world of numbers, but she used to never forget anything about numerology, however critical her health was. So every time she used to be admitted, we used to always ask her about what this ye alphabet ka number kya hai. She used to always tell me that. But this time she somehow she couldn't do it.
Hmm.
So that was one thing. And So that day I met her in the evening. The next day, what happened was suddenly, due to some reason, she had to be shifted to the ICU.
Mm.
Her BP went low or something, so she had to be
Mm.
shifted to the ICU.
Mm.
And so that day evening, I couldn't meet her because the timings were like the visiting hours were over, so I couldn't meet her. So I and the next day I had an interview in different company, you know. So I thought I'll finish the interview part and then I'll reach hospital.
Mm.
But that day, like midnight, my husband called me and he said like, Sheetal, mom has been put up on a ventilator, so you come down immediately.
Mm.
So then I went, you know, I was a little, this thing, you know, I had already tears in my eyes. I was like, she's on ventilator and all. So my cousin of mine was there with me, so I just went with him and I requested the doctor, like, you know, I'd just like to see her once.
Mm.
So I went inside. The moment I went inside, her body was there, but I just couldn't sense her energy, you know. I just couldn't sense her energy. And she had such a vibrant energy, you know. So it was like her energy is not there. I went and touched her body. It was all cold, man. So I was like, her body is all cold. I can't sense her energy. Then I spoke to the doctor and I asked him, like, you know. So he was like, it sometimes happens when the BP goes low, the body tends to become a little cold.
Mm.
But after a few hours, then they just called us and like they told like, you know, mom is no more. So
Right. This is a very common thing, Sheetal,
yeah,
when patients are put on the ventilator, especially the kind of invasive ventilators.
mm,
Maybe the soul is already decided to leave,
yeah,
and the soul could have just moved away from the physical body. So the body obviously feels cold and dead.
mm,
And especially with her, because she was such a spiritual person and she was already preparing herself for the journey forward.
yeah,
So it's possible that her soul had already moved away from the physical body
yeah,
because she knew that she didn't want to come back,
yeah,
and maybe that's why you didn't feel the presence
yeah,
of the person. There are many people who also say that when they enter a hospital room, especially where the patient is or the person is, they tend to have a certain, they used to have a fragrance of her, and now that fragrance is gone or the essence is gone, is exactly what you're saying,
yeah.
at that moment. So what happened to you, when they
That,
told you that she's gone?
that moment it was completely blank. Only my husband and I were inside. We really didn't know. Like we just held each other's hands. We went outside and we sat. We just couldn't cry also. Like we just couldn't digest the fact that mom is no more. You know, it really
Yeah.
took us some time.
Hmm.
Then by the time, of course, my father was also there, and then other people also started coming. But it was one thing I'd like to mention, ma'am, because when her body was, we got her body to our house. It was laid down. She still had a smile on her face.
Oh, yes.
That was so different, and you know, and when people used to come, they used to feel they told us like we sense a very different energy in your house.
Hmm.
That was very nice. You know, we all felt a different energy.
Yeah, I think there are some people, though they are gone, the physical body is only lying down, but you just feel the kind of positiveness about that person, and some of them don't even look dead.
Yeah,
I mean, like you have this impression that a dead person may look like dead, but there are many people I have seen in death. They look really beautiful.
yeah.
Maybe that's what you're saying.
Yeah, she looks so peaceful with a smile on her face. I was like, she looks so different here. You know, she doesn't look dead like that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
the
absolutely.
energy was different in our house. But it was because, of course, these things are going on, so you just don't feel anything at that point. You know,
Yeah.
it was later like everybody left, and then after that, you know, you wake up in the morning and then suddenly that person is not there. The physical presence of the person is not there. So I used to end up crying because I just couldn't digest the fact that she's no more. And I used to tell my husband, how could she just go without talking to me? She
Mm.
didn't talk to me. She didn't say goodbye to me. She didn't talk a single word to me. I couldn't see her before she left, you know. So that was,
Right.
it gave me a mixed feeling of guilt also. I was not there. I was not there for her at that time. So there were also a lot of mixed feelings, man. Like it was, I don't know what it was, guilt, anger, sadness, hurt, a lot of things. So that I think I just went into some kind of a depression because it was very difficult for me to come out. And so I started like maybe it was my mother-in-law who guided me to things after that.
Yes.
Her presence was always felt at our home, at our place because I used to see feathers coming inside our house,
Hmm.
certain things just moving by themselves. She used to be always there, so that presence was always felt. And
So did you only feel the presence, or others in the home, like your
my husband also,
husband, they
my
also
husband,
felt
both of them.
a presence? Yeah.
In fact, my husband, there are certain episodes where he has actually seen her.
Ah,
They had a
yes.
very nice, close bond also, no? Mother and
Correct.
son.
Yeah.
So they actually see her.
So post that, how did your life change? Post her moving away and guiding you,
Yeah.
how do you think your life has changed?
Uh, because there was this inner turmoil and a lot of questions, I somehow feel my mother-in-law was guiding me to certain things. It was her guidance where things were coming across. I don't know, and she was also pushing me towards certain things. So I came across certain things about near-death experience, and which she herself had experienced earlier. My
Okay.
mother-in-law, yeah. So that I had heard from her that she had experienced this near-death experience.
Mhm.
So then I read Anita Murjani's book,
Yes.
Trying to Be Me.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was there. Then I was like, I still need some answers. I contacted somebody for a mediumship, so that I could receive message. I did receive message, but still there was that constant, thing that I need to connect to her. I want to
Hmm.
talk to her. That thing
Hmm.
was there. That push was always. So I used to keep searching for things, just to keep asking spiritual people like what happens. And I needed those answers.
Hmm.
So I attended a 2 day past life regression workshop. So because it was mentioned there also, like you can connect to your departed ones.
Correct. Yes.
So I thought, of course, the whole thing is good, but the connection, because I was waiting for that connection part with my mother-in-law.
Hmm.
That was amazing, man. That I could just connect to her and talk to her, and I had tears, all the way. I was just crying, crying, and I was talking to her. But
Can
I
you
was like, okay,
explain?
finally, I
Can
could
you
connect to her.
explain that experience? What exactly it was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So what happened? It was a guided meditation.
Yes.
So in that, through the process, uh, we could actually sense or see our departed soul, whomever we wanted to see. So I
Hmm.
could see her, how she used to be at home. Similarly, very smiling. That energy was there, smiling. And I was kind of like, we just cried because it was like as if we were hugging each other and crying. I was physically crying, but the her energy was something that I could sense. Her energy, that loving energy was there, and it was not exactly a conversation, but that energy exchange of emotions.
Correct.
Like
Correct. Telepathically. Yeah.
yeah,
It's not obviously
telepathy.
she
Yeah,
she doesn't have a voice box. She can't speak to you
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm speaking to you, but you just know the information that the soul is giving you. Yeah. And that's such a beautiful experience to have. Yes, I understand. Yeah.
I could just feel her presence and whatever she could communicate to me, like, everything is fine and you will be fine. You have to do certain things in life now. You will be guided towards that. You have to do a lot of healing work. So these were the things that she conveyed to me.
Mm.
So don't worry, she said, you'll be guided. It will be tough, she said, because I did have a lot of tough experience because she was like, eventually God wants you to do certain things.
Mm.
So, and don't worry, she said, I am always there with you.
Right.
So,
So after that experience, what changed
after
in
that,
your work and what exactly
yeah.
happened?
So, like I told you, she was a numerologist and she had taught me all that. 10 years
Mm.
before, she used to always teach me. Sometimes when I was weekends, when I was with her, I used to be with her, like, when she was with her clients and all. And she used to always tell me, even after I go away, you please continue this.
Oh,
So I didn't
yes.
expect like I have to do it so early because I really didn't expect it. So that was
Mm.
a sudden change that happened in my life at that time.
Mm.
Because inquiries would still be there from clients because her platform was there. So then that was a completely that changed. That was a complete push, a new thing that happened in my life. Like I had to eventually do it. It was
Mm,
unplanned, something unplanned. I was not prepared for. But yeah,
mm,
of course, my husband also supported me in that. He also helped me with because he could also understand that I was not prepared for this. But
yeah.
eventually, yes, that happened. And later, yeah, of course, I used to always pray upon her guidance would always be there. Whenever I was doing numerology, her
Mm.
guidance would be always there. I used to always call upon her. So that is how I used to do my session. So
Very nice.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. So,
So
what is the guidance that she gave you about numbers? I mean, anything that you can share about numbers and her own learning with numbers and any specific numbers that she felt were very powerful? Something that you learned from her, if you could
yeah,
share a little
I'll
bit of
share
it.
that. Basically, she's a 8 number person. Her date of birth was 17th April. Okay. And my daughter is also 17. She's 17 December.
Okay.
So there's a connection of numbers in the house itself because my father-in-law and my husband, they share the same date of birth, 19 September.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of number play in the house also.
Like a little soul group of
Yeah.
people having similar energies and similar numbers
Yeah.
coming together. Yeah. And what's
Yeah.
your birth date?
I am 21st June.
You're number three.
Come number three. Number three.
Okay. Right.
So I knew regarding her thing like because she was basically from a spiritual background family where they used to practice astrology and all this stuff. So she had picked up numerology from there, and she loved numbers, so she continued with numerology. So being an 8 number person, she had gone through a lot of struggles. So I had seen that, and then later how she changed her name and how things were different. So the whole thing about eight was like whenever I think of it, it's like her. So I think of her, and
And it's
then
very interesting you say that she's a number eight because so am I.
okay,
So I guess, the energy of eight is acting up today because you're
yeah.
talking about somebody who's a number eight and I'm also a number eight.
Oh wow,
So that is really, what should I say? It's not really a coincidence that
it
you're
is not.
talking to me about her. It's
Yeah.
really fascinating. Yes. So, but an eight and a three. So what does
Hmm.
that tell you about the kind of relationship that you all had?
It
What
was
was
I don't know.
complementing each other?
It was beyond numbers also. Sometimes I feel man, I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, like I have a lot of 8 number people in my life. So I don't know because my daughter is also 8.
Right,
So I
right.
don't know. There's some connection with 8 probably. Now you are
Well,
also 8.
I'm also an eight. That's right. And no, but I just want to say that with a three and an eight, you're ruled by Jupiter, and she was ruled by Saturn. So
Huh.
obviously, she wanted a balance in her life, and eights are very
Okay.
spiritual. And you are a number
Yeah.
three, providing her with reasoning. So, if she was upset or she was talking about something, you would possibly give a very pragmatic approach to things,
Okay.
and she would possibly
Mm,
give you a very
mm,
spiritual approach to things. So definitely she's guiding you at this moment.
mm.
So are you still
Yeah.
doing your profession as a civil engineer, or that's still
No,
not
ma'am.
there?
Actually, it's not there. I just left my job in this Feb 2020 Feb. I left my job.
My
So that was
God.
the last one because I thought I'll practice because after numerology there are certain other things that happened because I started card reading also,
Okay,
and
tarot
then
card
I was
reading.
guided to I do oracle card reading, angel card
Oracle,
reading.
angel card reading, yes. And
Right. So
okay.
yeah. So and then all this was so guided because I have never thought in my life that I'd be doing all this. I never thought.
Right.
And then because I had done the past life regression workshop, I thought I'd do the therapist course also.
Correct.
So I was guided to do that also. So these things happened and then now I felt like I should. This was the big nudge that happened this year. Like
Hmm.
I should leave the job and be completely into whatever healing modality and practicing. So
That's
it
a
was a big
big
nudge.
shift. It's a big nudge. It's what we call a divine nudge that took place
It
in
is
your
very
life. During your past life sessions that you've done, have you had any insight about the kind of relationship the two of you had in a past life?
yeah.
Anything that
She
came
was my
up?
mother in one of my past lives. She was my mother.
And now she's your mother in law. So, why the shift of role? Any insight into why the soul shifted from being a mother to becoming a mother in law?
Oh no, well, I didn't check that at that point of time because it was during the workshop that I want to see ki what was it that what was the relation prior to this life that I had with you. So the only thing that I saw was like she was my mother, and what I know is like there were certain karmic things to be resolved. I don't know how it should be put. Like
Hmm.
it was some certain karmas that we had to take this role.
Hmm.
That is the only thing I feel.
So one thing is definitely there. She was a very supportive, loving, kind, like a teacher. She was more like a teacher because she taught you numerology. She
Yeah.
is nudging you towards moving into the path of healing. Giving up a settled job and getting into something like this is a big, big shift to make. So I'm sure others in your family must have supported you for this shift.
Yeah, my husband did support. He did
Lovely.
support.
So that's great. I mean, she's still guiding you. Did you feel her presence even now? You know, it's been some time since she moved out and moved away. So when you're doing work or sometimes when you're cooking in the kitchen, because you spent a lot of time with her in the kitchen, you
Yeah,
know, that was like a little shrine
yeah.
to spend time. So anytime do you feel her presence around in that place?
Presence was felt very strong after she departed. That time the presence was felt as such. But
Right,
now it's not about the presence, it's like the connection is always there. That
right.
is the change I feel. I probably feel at that point of time I needed the presence around me. So she was there. Presence was
Yeah,
felt very strongly. Now it's like all the time it's the communication that happens.
correct. Any particular time when the communication is the strongest?
Uh,
Anything like that you notice?
Maybe nighttime is something that I feel, where I get messages strongly.
Right.
Nighttime. So there are things that have happened, like even with respect to numerology, and I was going to have a client the next day, and nighttime she gave me some different guidance. No, you do it this way or something
Hmm.
different than what she had taught me.
Hmm.
So for tomorrow, like I didn't understand why she's telling me this, why is this thing coming. Then the next day I understood eventually. It was for some different reason that she's telling me do it differently.
Right.
So that I think yeah, that was one thing there. But yeah, she communicates like it's a little bit. Sometimes I just ask guidance for her, it's a very automatic thing. Like whenever I sit for a session, whenever I'm praying to the angels and all, she's one of
Hmm.
my spirit guides. That is how I take it. So
Correct.
she's also included in that every time.
Wow. Lovely. So do you now feel upset that you couldn't say goodbye to her? You couldn't talk to her after all these wonderful, kind of revelations, as we call them.
Yeah.
Do you still feel upset that you couldn't say goodbye to her?
No, but for a very long time I did feel upset, but now I don't feel. Now I don't feel.
That's lovely.
I
Yeah.
don't feel.
Yeah. So what do you want to tell people, who possibly like you could not say goodbye to their loved one? What
Hmm.
do you want to tell people who've lost people whom they love so much?
Hmm.
Any
Now,
message that you want to
yeah.
give others?
I even now when somebody passed away, it's easier for me to convey things to people or assure them like don't worry, like they'll always be around. Just giving a message. So whatever happened with me, something that I keep telling them. They just be aware they won't leave you so suddenly and go. Energetically, they are always with you. They will give you messages, signs. You will feel their presence. You will see some different things around you. Which something that you've never seen earlier. So your awareness will increase, your presence will be felt, you will receive messages some way. So, just be aware of that. And like I say, you don't suppress your feelings. If you're sad, just get that out. It's okay to grieve. Like sometimes
Correct.
people say कि रोना नहीं चाहिए. And I say, just grieve. Just वो रोना आ रहा है, अब please रो लो. So these are the things I feel, कि you should do it.
Yeah. I think it's very important to grieve. It's very important to mourn because you have been with that person physically. So definitely that person is a soul, but you haven't been with the soul
Yeah.
in your life. You've been with a human being, right? With emotions and feelings and thoughts and communication and memories and so much that you shared with the opposite person. But it's important to understand that that physical body, when it goes away, you are going to have a grief. You are going to cry, you're going to weep because you are still in the physical body.
Right.
Though we know we have a soul, but we can't see the soul, we can't feel the soul, we can't touch the soul. It's just a concept for us, you know. But the physical body is real for us because these five senses make you so attached to the physicality that it's very difficult to understand how we would be without the body.
Right.
And so it's important to grieve. And I think your beautiful journey is proof that time, give it time, you know, give it time, and slowly the person who's departed will connect with you in some way or the other. And I think most important is that you trusted the messages that started coming to you,
Yeah.
you know, because if you hadn't trusted it, then it would have been just, you know, kuch bhi nahi hai, there's nothing, you know. But I think when you start trusting, then they start getting you more messages.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Becomes
really
stronger.
what happens. Yeah, it becomes like a, you know, you think of them, you look up for guidance, and the guidance is right there for you.
Yeah.
Any particular card, because you're doing kind of oracle card reading, so any particular card that keeps coming to you when you think of her?
Not through cards, man. Not through cards. Not through cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So any other way, like through a particular number that flashes, because there
17
are
is
lots of kind
something
of
that
angel
keeps flashing.
numbers. So yeah.
Yeah.
So anything
17
like
is
that?
something that keeps flashing.
What keeps
Mm,
flashing?
17, 17, 1 7.
17. Okay, number
That's very
17 keeps
strongly that
flashing.
keeps flashing at times, you know.
Right.
And it's like there are certain music, like she used to sing also. So
Okay.
that is also she used to sing. She used to sing very well. So kitchen where where we used to work is like she used to love singing. So we used to sing together at times. So that was this. Music is somewhere when I listen to her old songs. She used to obviously sing very old songs, Malayalam songs. We are from Kerala, so she used to sing those Malayalam songs and all. So when I listen to those songs, then that reminds me. But signs,
Correct.
particularly number 17 is there that keeps coming, but nothing through cards, man. So, but this way.
All right. All right. So any particular song she loved the most and would sing most often?
There should be many, many songs then.
So one song
But
that
I
you
can't
can
sing.
sing for her.
I can't, can't sing.
Some song that you would like to, just two lines that you'd like to sing for her. So she's right here with us, and
Yeah,
maybe, you know, she'll be singing along. Though we can't hear her, but she can definitely listen
sing
to
about
you.
Krishna a lot.
So why don't you sing something that you
I
love and she
try, man.
loved?
I just try.
Please.
Sing this one. കണികാണും നേരം കമലനേത്രന്റെ തുറമുകിൽ നല്ല തുടിച്ചാത്തി കനകക്കിങ്ങിണി വൾകൾ മോതിരം അണിഞ്ഞു കാണേണം ഭഗവാനെ. This is one song she used to sing. I'm not very
Wow.
clear with it, but I just sang.
Beautiful, beautiful. It does not matter whether you're a singer or not. What matters is that you and she were connected with a particular frequency, and music is nothing but
Yeah,
frequency, frequency of great love. And when you sing
yeah,
something for the Lord, it's always reaching her and him.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what can I say? Thank you, Sheetal. It was so beautiful listening to you. And I think everybody who's heard you today know that people who go away, they don't go anywhere. They're right there with us, right here with us. And if you trust and
Yeah.
believe that, then they can continue to guide us. So thank you, Sheetal. It was so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः